The drama surrounding Kelsey Mitchell and Sheryl Swoopes has officially reached its breaking point. And this time, it's Mitchell who's rewriting the narrative. For months, Swoopes' comments about Caitlin Clark have dominated headlines, stirring controversy and dividing fans. But in one measured emotional interview, Kelsey Mitchell, longtime Indiana Fever guard and one of the WNBA's most underappreciated stars, decided she'd had enough. After years of quietly carrying a franchise through darkness, she finally broke her silence. And when she spoke, it wasn't anger that came through. It was conviction. It was perspective. It was leadership. Because when Kelsey Mitchell talks, she doesn't need to raise her voice. Her story does that for her. She's lived through 6 grueling seasons in Indiana, 6 years of rebuilding, rotating coaches, and finishing near the bottom of the standings. She's seen teammates come and go, schemes ripped apart and reassembled, and endless promises that the Fever were getting close. Through it all, she was the constant. The scorer who never stopped showing up. The leader who refused to quit. And now, finally, she's getting her moment. Not just because of her stats, but because she's telling a truth that too many have been afraid to say out loud. When Mitchell was asked about Caitlin Clark, she didn't give the kind of rehearsed, media-safe answer that players usually hide behind. She didn't toss out a generic "she's great, we love her" platitude. Instead, she spoke like someone who's lived both sides of the journey, the grind of being overlooked and the surge that comes when a superstar changes everything. "You grow to appreciate her," Mitchell said. "Certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever. You have to respect that." Those words weren't a throwaway compliment. They were an acknowledgement that Clark has transformed not just the Fever, but the entire ecosystem of women's basketball. And that's exactly what makes this moment so powerful. Coming from Kelsey Mitchell, a player who had every reason to feel overshadowed, it wasn't just praise. It was validation. It was a message to every bitter critic still trying to downplay what's happening. Caitlin Clark isn't the problem. She's the progress. This is why the interview hit like a thunderclap across the league. For months, veterans like Sheryl Swoopes have been feeding a narrative of resentment, claiming Clark's attention is undeserved, that her popularity is a product of hype rather than substance. Swoopes, once a legend of the game, seemed almost obsessed with undermining Clark's rise. But Kelsey Mitchell, who's actually in the trenches, who's shared the floor, the locker room, the battle scars, just shattered that illusion. She didn't attack. She didn't clap back. She simply spoke the truth, and in doing so, exposed the insecurity festering behind Swoopes' criticism. Because here's the thing. Mitchell knows what it's like to grind without glory. Before Clark ever set foot in Indiana, she was the one keeping the Fever relevant, even when no one cared. She knows what empty arenas sound like, what 20-point losses feel like, what it means to lead when there's no spotlight. And that's what makes her embrace of Clark so meaningful. She's not threatened by her. She's empowered by her. "Give yourself some grace, kid," Mitchell said directly to Caitlin. "You've done a lot of things not a lot of people can do. I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your backcourt." That one line, "in your backcourt," became symbolic. It wasn't just a message of support. It was a declaration of alliance. Mitchell was drawing a line in the sand. While others tear down, she's choosing to build. She's choosing unity. She's choosing growth. And make no mistake, this wasn't blind loyalty. Mitchell didn't pretend she hadn't paid her dues. She made it clear that before Clark arrived, she had been the foundation. "Before Caitlin came, I was here," she reminded the interviewer. "I went through the thick of it." It was a gentle reminder that her story matters too, that the Fever's rebirth didn't start with Clark, it culminated with her. Kelsey Mitchell kept the lights on. Caitlin Clark brought the world's attention to see it. Together, they've become the engine of something bigger than either could build alone. That's what Sheryl Swoopes never understood. Swoopes framed Clark's fame as a threat to the league's veterans, as if recognition were a limited resource. But Mitchell's words flipped that logic completely. She made it clear that Clark's rise isn't stealing anything from anyone. It's creating opportunities. Sponsorships. Coverage. Sold-out crowds. The Fever aren't just relevant again. They're defining the future of the WNBA. And instead of resenting that, Kelsey Mitchell is celebrating it. When she spoke about how the team has grown organically, about the arrival of Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Caitlin Clark, There was pride in her voice.
"It was like a match made in heaven," she said.
"Certain doors opened because of her. You have to respect that. That's not jealousy. That's perspective. That's leadership born from survival."
And while Mitchell's humility carried the message, her achievements back it up.
She just came off arguably the best season of her career. A year where she was an MVP finalist and recognized by peers and analysts as one of the most dynamic guards in basketball. But what makes her rise so satisfying isn't just the numbers. It's the journey. The same player once overlooked, once dismissed as solid but not special, is now the heart of a playoff contender, and she's using her platform not to gloat, but to unite. She even offered fans a glimpse inside the Fever locker room that shattered the false narratives being pushed by outsiders. Remember that viral moment when Caitlin Clark tweeted about being fined $200 for stepping on the court? The media spun it as arrogance. But Mitchell laughed it off, revealing what really happened. "You just have to know Cece," she said, smiling. "It's nothing but love from that kid. Her energy and effort to support our team, that's just her way of doing it." To Mitchell, Clark wasn't a diva. She was a teammate with a sense of humor, a competitor with heart, and someone who makes everyone around her better. And that's what separates Kelsey Mitchell from Sheryl Swoopes. One is inside the fight, building something new. The other is outside, throwing stones at progress. Swoopes' bitterness has become its own storyline, one that feels smaller, pettier, every time players like Mitchell speak with grace and gratitude. Mitchell isn't chasing controversy. She's setting a standard. While others argue about who deserves credit, she's proving that success is shared, that the WNBA's growth doesn't belong to one generation or one player. It belongs to all of them. But the brilliance of Mitchell's comments goes deeper than defending Caitlin Clark. It's what they represent, a shift in culture. For decades, women's basketball has battled for validation. Every step forward has been met with a chorus of skepticism, even from within. But what Kelsey Mitchell did in that interview was reframe the conversation. She turned resentment into recognition. She made it clear that you can honor history without fearing the future. She's also realistic. She knows the Fever's rise isn't just about talent. It's about chemistry. The bond between Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull is real, and it's reshaping what success looks like. She even hinted she'd be willing to take less money in free agency just to keep that group together. In today's world of ego and entitlement, that's almost unheard of. But Mitchell isn't chasing a paycheck. She's chasing a legacy. She knows what it took to get here. She knows how fragile momentum can be, and she's not about to let it slip away. When asked about the Fever's playoff run, Mitchell's response said it all. "It's unbelievable," she said. "I don't take it for granted. I just love basketball for what it is." That's the kind of line that sounds simple until you realize what it means coming from her. For someone who spent her career fighting uphill, loving the game isn't cliché, it's survival. It's the thread that kept her connected through years of losing, doubt, and anonymity. And now, that love is being rewarded. That's why this entire saga, Mitchell's defense of Clark, her quiet dismantling of Swoopes' negativity, her embrace of change, feels like a turning point. It's not just about one interview or one soundbite. It's about the WNBA finally growing past its insecurities. The league doesn't need infighting between eras. It needs unity, humility, and truth. And right now, Kelsey Mitchell is embodying all three. The irony is that Sheryl Swoopes once represented everything the league stood for: excellence, confidence, trailblazing success. But time has a way of revealing who adapts and who clings to the past. And while Swoopes chooses bitterness, Mitchell chooses balance. Her message was clear. Caitlin Clark didn't come to replace anyone. She came to raise the ceiling for everyone. The Fever's rise isn't a threat to the league's legends. It's a tribute to them. Kelsey Mitchell's interview wasn't just an answer. It was a manifesto. It was a reminder that greatness doesn't shrink when someone else shines. It expands. It multiplies. It brings everyone with it. That's what she understands. That's what Swoopes forgot. So now, the conversation has shifted. The Fever aren't underdogs anymore. They're the standard. And as long as players like Mitchell keep leading with honesty and grace, no amount of noise from the sidelines can drown that out. What do you think, fans? Did Kelsey Mitchell just deliver the most important message of the season? Is she the quiet leader the WNBA needs right now? And has Sheryl Swoopes finally been humbled? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you stand with Kelsey. And don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns and deep dives into the league's biggest stories. Because this isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about who's ready to grow with the game, and who's